Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you guys doing? Well, I hope. Hope everyone is doing well. Sorry I'm a little bit late. It is what it is. Hold on. We're about to get started. This is Webisode 3 of our The Plight of series. We're going to be discussing egotistical men. Okay? Egotistical men. That is what we are going to be discussing this afternoon. Okay? In the meantime, how's everyone doing? Well, I hope. Hope you had a good day or having a good day. Hope you had a good morning. It's been a busy day for me. What in the world? Okay, I'm just going to read off of my phone because my other device, eh. So hopefully StreamYard doesn't kick us out, okay? We're going to be discussing egotistical men. So let's see. Hold on. Okay, boom shakalaka. Says egotistical men often exhibit an inflated sense of self-importance, a constant need for validation, and a lack of empathy or accountability. These behaviors usually mask deep-seated insecurities and a fragile ego, which are often reinforced by rigid societal expectations around traditional masculinity. Okay? That is the definition as to what an egotistical man is. Says navigating relationships with egotistical individuals requires a clear understanding of where these behaviors stem from and how to protect your own well-being. Because these type of men do exist, whether it be on here, on any other type of platform, in our daily lives, they exist. The same way egotistical women exist. But we're talking about egotistical men, okay? So it says core traits and characteristics. Core traits and characteristics. Understanding the psychology of egotism can help you identify and manage these behaviors. So they listed some core traits and characteristics for us. Okay. The first one, self-centeredness. Self-centeredness. Conversations often revolve around their achievements, their struggles, and lives, with little room for active listening to others. It's all about them. It's all about them, their plight, their fight. Hold on. And then when it comes time for somebody else who is a part of their conversation to want to kind of have it be about them or discuss whatever it is they are trying to discuss, for the most part, they find a way to kind of belittle that and then turn it around and make it back, circle it back to them, okay? Or they're just really not paying. Like they'll have somebody talking to them about something and they may pump fake like they're listening. But if it's not what they want to hear, they're completely blocking that person out. And some of these type of men who are egotistical, they have a way of doing that while also kind of doing like a mind freak on the other person and having them act, thinking that they're actually listening, but they're not, because they're not interested in what you're talking about, because it's not what they want to hear for the most part. All right, next we have fragile ego. When faced with criticism or challenge on their views, they may react with self-defensiveness, aggression, or dismissal as a way to protect their self-image. Because that self-image is everything to a man who is egotistical. Hold on. It's all about the image. It's all about the facade. It's all about their quote unquote rep. So anything that, excuse me, I'm stretching, anything that will kind of be a threat to that, anything that's kind of a threat to that will cause them to become aggressive and to act real defensive, even if it's not necessary, you know, even if it's not necessary. And they definitely don't like to be taken to task. They don't like to be taken to task. They don't like to be held to account. They don't much care to be corrected. Like, number one, they don't really see an issue or an error in their ways. And then number two, these type of men, they don't take being corrected lightly, especially if they have it in their mind. Well, who are you to be telling me anything, you know? Who are you to tell me anything? Do you know who I am? Do you know where you're at? Whoop-de-doo, whoop-de-doo, those type of things. They don't take well to being corrected, especially if it's from somebody that they consider to be inferior to them, even if the correction is proper and warranted and needed, you know? All right, and we're going over core traits and characteristics of an egotistical man, okay? We went over self-centeredness. We went over fragile ego. Next is lack of accountability. We just talked about that real quick. Lack of accountability. They struggle to admit when they are wrong and will often shift blame to others or find external excuses for their failures. They do not like to be held to account. They don't like to be held to account at all. So instead of just admitting that they were wrong, hold on. These type of men, and there's some men who master the skill of being able to kind of flip the script around, you know what I mean? In order to protect their image, their self-image, in order to deflect blame or shift the blame, in order to find fugazi, miscellaneous excuses for their failures, for where they lack, you know? Instead of just simply keeping it a being, it's always something or somebody else. It's very rare that it's them. And like this says, and if they do acknowledge that it's them, they will find external excuses for their failures. Oh, this because this person did that. Oh, this, oh, well, they shouldn't have been playing with me. Oh, this, oh, that. Never, I was wrong. I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to say that. I made a mistake. That wasn't a proper choice. That was a lack in my decision making. These type of men don't really use that type of verbiage. It's not in their vocabulary. Mainly because they have a lack of accountability as well as a fragile ego. All right. And then the last core trait and characteristics as far as egotistical men that they listed for us anyway says need for superiority. I think I'm still saying that word wrong, but I don't care. This can manifest as showing off, competing aggressively, or attempting to diminish the accomplishments of others to make themselves look better. I'm not sure. Yeah, you can. Hold on. Okay, my bad. Where were we? Sorry. Where were we? I had a phone call. Need for superiority. Up from the. Hold on. Jeez Louise. Jeez Louise, hold on. Okay. Jeez Louise, guys. So need for superiority. This can manifest as showing off, competing aggressively, or attempting to diminish the accomplishments of others to make themselves look better. These type of men rarely have the ability to fall back, to fade to back, you know what I mean? And just simply let their accomplishments speak for themselves, you know? They lack the ability to just let their accomplishments speak for themselves. They got to always let you know about them as opposed to letting others speak about them. Or, like I just said, allow for their accomplishments to speak for them. And instead of just simply having the ability to do their thing, whatever their thing is, and do it well, they have to constantly feel like they're in competition, whether it's with other men, whether it's with women who are also doing their thing. And it just may be in the same field, you know? So even when there's no actual competition, like you're not competing for no raise, you're not competing for no bonus, nothing like that, they just always feel like they have to compete with you instead of just doing their thing. And they can, and it's not like they just said, it's not just competing regular, aggressively, like they got to try to shit on you and what you're doing, or try to do little weird back-ended things to kind of knock you off of what you're doing in order for them, you know, to do well with whatever it is that they're doing. Attempting to diminish the accomplishments of others to make themselves look better. Yeah, like we just touched on. So instead of, like, say, if it's somebody who always comes to work 10, 15 minutes early, right? Instead of just standing on the fact that that's what they do, that's how they operate, whoop-de-doo, they got to mention how Joe never comes early. I always come early. I never see Joe here when I get here. He always comes after. What do you need to say that for? What time Joe come in have to do with the fact that you like to come in 15 minutes early, even if it's not required of you? What's that got to do with the price of tea in China? Hold on. I realize these type of men lack the ability to really focus and keep the main thing the main thing. I've noticed that as well. So say if they're having a disagreement or a back and forth with somebody else, instead of keeping it on what the issue is, they will go all around town, all around the corner, instead of staying on that same street where the issue is. I don't like, someone will say to them, you did this, I don't like that you did this, or whoop-de-doo, whatever, whatever. They'll instantly go to attacking that person and what they have accomplished or what they haven't accomplished to kind of build themselves up, as well as to kind of take it off of them and their actions. So they'll say, oh, like, okay, say with YouTube. It could be a male content creator who is very egotistical. So they have their set amount of people who support them or whatever. And they'll get into it with somebody who doesn't have that same amount. Hey, buddy, good afternoon. How are you doing? Well, I hope. They'll get into it with somebody who doesn't have that same set of supporters or that doesn't have a large audience. And instead of addressing whatever the issue is, they will say, oh, who cares what they're talking about? Their channel is, they have a small channel. They only have this amount of supporters. Who cares? Or who cares what they're talking about? Nobody wants to see the type of content that they're doing. And that doesn't have anything to do with the meat and potatoes of whatever the issue was. Hold on. But when you're dealing with a man who is very egotistical, and in that context, like I just said, if it's not something that suits them or that will help them booster their image, they will do all they can to kind of like, eh, sway it away. And that's regardless if it's somebody they have an issue with, if it's people who are in their camp, their family members, people who support them if they have a YouTube channel. It's all about them. They don't care what nobody else be talking about unless it's something for them to gain from that. And these type of men don't have any issue actively disrespecting people who support them. They don't care. They do not care because it's all about them. Okay, so it says, why egotism develops. Egotism in men is frequently tied to societal conditioning and toxic masculinity. Often, society, often pressures men to adhere to impossible standards of success, emotional stoicism, and unrelenting independence. When they fail to live up to these rigid codes, they may use ego and arrogance as defense mechanisms to hide vulnerability, doubt, or fear. For a broader perspective on the psychology, behind it, you can explore the Psych Central Guide on the Male Ego, which they gave a little link to go to. And it's interesting, when they fail to live up to these rigid codes, they may use ego and arrogance as defense mechanisms to hide vulnerability, doubt, or fear. And it's an interesting thing when you come across egotistical men. And it gets even more interesting. Hold on. When you encounter egotistical men who act like they have this set level of quote unquote machismo, and they're just so big and bad, when they present themselves like that on here, and then when you come to find out that their life outside of here, they're not so big and bad, they're not so big and bad. They come on the internet to put on a big facade to kind of make up for the areas in which they do lack outside of here. And what I've noticed is most men who come a certain way like that, especially when it's not necessary or when it's not needed, they do lack something, quote unquote, at home. I seen a man that's supposed to be this big bad wolf, supposed to be this, king, completely fail to have the ability, while being live, to have not only his longtime buddy respect what he got going on and how he wants to run it and how he wants it to go, as well as their own loved one. And it would have been sad to see if I cared for the person. It was just pathetic. You come on here, you treat people how you treat them. You want your show to be ran a certain type of way, your quote unquote show to be ran a certain type of way. Anybody who you feel like gets out of pocket or steers away or is a threat to how you want your show to run, you deal with them accordingly, but you completely lack the ability to gain and garner that same respect from your loved one, from your longtime friend. Hold on. And you can tell it was just eating this egotistical man up because there was nothing he can do about it in that moment without making a big hubbub for everybody else to see. But what everybody seen was this big, strong, egotistical man completely lacks the ability to gain and garner the minimum type of respect from somebody who is a loved one and a friend, which is respect what I got going on, calm yourself, chill out, you're embarrassing me, but will present themselves that way on the internet and completely crap on anybody, like I said, who corrects them, who questions them, who sets boundaries, and so on and so forth. So that's very interesting to see. to see a very egotistical man pick and choose, you know, when and how he will be respected depending on who the person is. But when they come on the internet, everyone needs to respect them in a certain type of way, or else they're going to get it, whatever it is. Very interesting. Okay, we're going to go over how to handle and protect yourself when dealing with an egotistical man. Okay, how to handle and protect yourself. If you are dealing with egotistical behavior, whether in a workplace or a personal relationship, consider these strategies. Set firm boundaries. Clearly communicate what behavior is and is not acceptable. Hold them to these boundaries without getting drawn into arguments. Just set them, maintain them, and keep it moving. Move accordingly. Do not take it personally. Recognize that their arrogance is a reflection of their own internal struggles, not your worth. Especially if you know you did nothing to this egotistical person, okay? Use objective feedback. When disagreeing, stick to objective facts rather than opinions. Keep the main thing, which are harder to debate or manipulate, because they are master manipulators, Lastly, distance yourself. If the relationship is constantly draining or manipulative, it may be healthiest to limit your interactions or step away entirely. Okay? Let me see. You said, well, I hope. Yeah, I'm good, buddy. So that's what I have for you guys in regards to the plight of an egotistical man. Hopefully you were able to get something out of this. And you're able to be vigilant because they do exist. They are out there. You may be a egotistical man or egotistical woman. And that's just not the best way to be. Even if you feel like that gets you the best results or it has, it's not the best way to be. Obviously, you want to think highly of yourself, but in a healthy way. In a healthy and a non-toxic way. Okay? And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, whoever was in the clouds. And thank you to whoever will catch the replay. Have a good day. Bye.